Hey, peace, world. Had to jump on and talk a little bit of bite down boxing. Happy Saturday. And do me a favor, check me out on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts with my It's Always Personal podcast. Talk about some bigger, heavier things over there. I appreciate the uptick in plays recently on the last couple of episodes. So check that out. It's not boxing, it's not necessarily sports related. Just digging into some other areas of life. If you dig any of the content over here, do consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. For anybody who wants to hear any of the random updates and reaction to whatever, you can hit that bell icon and get a notification of when I do go live. I apologize for last night. I know I scheduled, that might be 0 for 3, but I scheduled a live stream with the guest. Actually, it was a very important conversation that I wanted to have based on that person's skill set and the role that they have. But he didn't respect, my time enough, my platform enough to give me a heads up that if something else came up, or he just thought better of, spending some time to chop it up. But, it happens. I try to get I try to get somebody on here that can help strengthen some of my arguments, some of my discussions. That know things that I don't know. I keep saying it. I don't know everything. Try to avoid talking about things that I don't know. So that was the whole purpose in trying to get that individual on last night. But maybe it's a bad idea to try to get people's time on Friday. Maybe that's an error on my part. But with looking at what happened Thursday with Triller getting this purse bid, and kind of rocking the small boxing world, the small world that it is. I wanted the conversation was intended to kind of hit on some of those things. Last night I actually took some time and went and looked into the head of Triller. Like, what is this dude? Where does he come from? His name is Ryan Kavanaugh, and he actually comes from Hollywood. Ran into some financial problems. I guess he was a billionaire at one point in time. Like I said, coming from Hollywood, he was once the head of an outfit called Relativity Media. Produced a number of different major motion pictures. Now he's heavily tied up in. Well, Triller is a competitor of TikTok, and he's been working feverishly to try to, wrestle with TikTok to be number one in whatever the hell that app is. I don't know, man. People recording videos and dancing and stuff. I don't know. But so that's what he's involved in. But he's been associated with a lot of wealth. Was a billionaire, filed for bankruptcy 1 or 2 times. Relativity Media, I think, went under. I'm amazed reading his background, just how he is able to, he's a brilliant enough guy to be like a phoenix and rise up from the ashes at least twice. And be back in this position now to where he's doing big things with this Triller app that I don't think I would ever consider downloading and using. I would never be a user, but there's some fascination with Americans in making meaningless ass videos. And I guess the selling point with Triller is that you can use real music. You can use a lot of your 90% of your favorite music to make these videos to share and to get that whole dopamine rush thing going. And he's killing it with that. So we all know in the boxing world that he came to prominence a couple of months ago or whatever with this whole Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. pay-per-view that did really well. And it did so well that he was emboldened enough to surprisingly get involved with this bidding process the other day. on Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. And so you all know by now, you know, they put in a bid that was more than the other two bids combined with Top Rank and the Zone / Matchroom, led by Eddie Hearn. It's crazy. People jump in and jump out. I guess I'm not talking about the right kind of stuff, but no big deal. So yeah, like I said, I was like, who is this cat? And why is he so why is he so encouraged about getting into the boxing space, and what is he bringing to the table? What can he do with boxing that isn't being done? What is the intentions around this fight with the undisputed lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr., his IBF mandatory? Like, what is the big play here? And so, like I said, man, I read about the guy, you know, with this Triller Fight Club is an offshoot from, I guess, the Triller app. And I guess Snoop Dogg is involved with it. Mike Tyson is kind of heading up this seniors boxing league or whatever. So, you know, and so, you know, on the Ringside Reporters, on a video they did yesterday with Habib and Eric Lorda, they did make me think about the connection with Teofimo Lopez recently appearing on Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing podcast, and maybe some, you know, on the side while they were, you know, pre-podcast or whatever, maybe some discussions were had, and Mike Tyson planted the seed that, you know, this could happen. Sit tight. So I don't know. Again, I don't know how to look at this as a major win or a major failure for Top Rank. The subsequent falling out with and being petty and kind of stoking the fires to truly F up the relationship with Teofimo Lopez, that being between Top Rank and Teofimo. I don't really understand that. Like, if you're comfortable with how it played out, why go and make such a stink about it after the fact? And then, you know, I guess they're like, screw it, you know, we can hold it over this kid's head that we could sit him down and sideline him for a year or two, or however long they would tie that up, similar to Mikey Garcia or Andre Ward. You know, maybe they could sit him down for a while, which makes this $3+ million that he's going to get, which makes that pretty interesting if you know you might have to make that stretch for a while. But anyway, now that we know that that's happening, there's no date. You know, there's no date associated with it yet. There's no plans that have been announced to what they could put around that fight. For some of the boxing people that ran out there, you know, happy about this stuff, it does take a young fighter off of linear TV, off of cable TV, and put him behind a paywall really early. And then it also probably brings in more of the boxing spectacle stuff that a lot of people say they hate, because they got to figure out a way. They don't have a roster of boxers, which is interesting to note, because what I just saw on Boxing Scene was the fact that they've announced that Regis Prograis is going to be on this April 17th card that's headlined by Jake Paul and Ben Askren. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with the PBC? I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I don't know all of these guys' contractual situations and what Regis Prograis might be in the middle of. I just know that he just got to the PBC. So I'm assuming it was a multi-fight deal. It was at least 2 fights. We know that Adrian Broner kind of shot down or dismissed that fight initially. He did say some more favorable stuff about it after his victory over Giovanni Santiago last Saturday in the post-fight press conference. He said that he would F him up. But we all know that probably isn't the fight that they want to make next, if they have any kind of real long-term, short-term plans for AB. Like you really don't want to put him in there with him next. You kind of want to wait and see what moves can be made. But anyway, Triller announces this. And again, like I said, I'm like, what the hell is going on with PBC? You know, what's going to be the decision making in allowing certain guys? How can certain guys go out and do what they want to do? And then some of the other guys on the roster, they're just kind of standing around. And then there's another segment on the roster that there's no plans in place for them all together. They didn't fight in 2020, and there's nothing on the horizon for 2021. So, and this isn't to jab and kick and poke at the PBC. But I'm just wondering, like, could there be some major migration of, some of the PBC fighters to other opportunities? We've always known that they haven't been tied to a particular network or anything. So, it's just very interesting to see this happen. I would imagine they would have, and that's another thing here is that they don't really have anything for Regis at 140 over there based on the inventory that they have. They really don't have. There's no way to get back in the title picture at 140. So so I guess it's like, go out here and get some work. The opponent was listed. This is a Mike Coppinger update. No, actually, I didn't see this on Boxing Scene. I saw it on Twitter. But Coppinger reported this, that Regis Prograis could be on the Paul-Asken card April 17th, and then the opponent would be Ivan Redcash. So I don't like I said, man, that's interesting. So if that does signal that there could be some kind of migration by PBC fighters to other outlets, it's also signaling that, Triller is like really trying to make some serious moves in the boxing space. They're reaching out, networking, and they're working. They're working. So, and I guess my big idea, my big thought to myself was with stuff like that, the fact that we don't see any PBC schedule on Fox, any major, any long-term schedule, not a whole lot out there for Showtime. I'm thinking like 2 cards floating around maybe, but not officially announced. But maybe boxing in general, maybe large parts of it are really getting ready to head to some kind of app situation. Maybe Fox isn't all that happy with it, with boxing. Maybe maybe Showtime, the numbers that they're getting over there, they're not all that promising. And I was listening to Chris Mannix's podcast yesterday, and he threw it out there that somebody that he wanted, some source he knows, it was either him or Edic that said it, or Edic, that even ESPN really isn't all that enamored with boxing, despite some of the numbers, the numbers that they just got for Lomachenko and Teofimo, as well as last Saturday with even with Bud and Kell Brook doing pretty decent numbers, and then with Burchell and Valdez doing some good numbers. But ESPN might not be into it all that much. So that's what my fear is, just like in general. Like, is it just that moment where boxing could be moving to a different space? And how would that look? How would it work out? Would it be a new app? Could it be Triller leading the way and grabbing up a couple of key names? Like, how would that look? What would would it be subscriptions? Would it be pay-per-views? Whatever. How would that look? So that's kind of the thought on that. Just like, they're not here just, and again, I just want to know more about Triller. Like, it can't all be orchestrated by Kavanaugh, who doesn't really have any relationships in boxing. And when we get into talking about matchmaking and other things, other important details. But you know, one thing that I always said about the PBC was, they did get us here with coming in and being a disruptor themselves a few years ago. They did get us here where the overall quality of boxing, of more affordable boxing, there's some, a lot of stuff is on cable, but the quality in general did pick up on ESPN. You remember Friday night fights was good fights, and meaningful fights were far and few between. Now we have been over there with Top Rank getting fairly decent fights here and there more consistently. But so with Triller coming into the picture, what do? We know that DAZN was a bit of a disruptor. That's just an experiment still kind of in progress. They've taken their beating and moving to this international thing now. They actually had an image on Instagram yesterday with all the start times from all of these international locales, like what time tonight's card starts, which by the way is at 8 p.m. Oh no, I think it's 7. I think 7 is the undercard. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I was gonna come on earlier and talk about the Fa and Parker fight. I haven't been able to watch it yet. DAZN was tripping on my TV. It kept getting to the same spot and rebooting or reloading or whatever. And then when I tried to get on my phone to watch it, just did the little Rubik's Cube thing with the logo for like 10 minutes. But I think it's open now, so I'll get to check that Parker fight out here after I get off of here. Talking through tonight's action, just some quick thoughts on it before it goes down. It looks like they did save McWilliams Arroyo. He'll be facing Abraham Rodriguez. I'm not all that familiar with him, but that's for the WBC interim world flyweight title. That with Julio Cesar Martinez falling off of this card, it really kind of killed my interest in it, to be honest with you. It really kind of toned things down for me. But I'll check out Arroyo and Rodriguez. I mean, I want to see what shape Canelo is in, or not just physically, but what he looks like in the ring. See what Yildirim, what he can do for a round or two. I did not get the latest and greatest on whether or not Billy Joe Saunders was able to get into the country. I heard Thursday, maybe Friday, Eddie Hearn was talking about they were trying to figure out a way to get him into the country as part of the because he wasn't an essential personnel, so he was working with the government to try to get Saunders over here. And I think the last way that they had to do that was to consider him part of the broadcast team, and then they could have this stare down in the middle of the ring that they would like to have to try to create some buzz for May 8th for Saunders and Canelo to fight one another. So I didn't hear if that happened or not. I don't even know if it's worth all the extra effort to even try to make that happen. I'm assuming it probably got shut down. So other than that, man, I just want to see. I mean, the one problem that they're having, and I'm getting ready to talk about it with the Claressa Shields fight next Friday night, is like with these, and even for Triller in the future, like how do these fights that are scheduled to stream, how the hell can they get any real coverage when the fight lives in cyberspace? And then all of the pre-fight coverage that we're accustomed to, all of that lives on YouTube, the DAZN app, all of this stuff is behind the paywall. So what are they going to do? Because we're not used to this. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the biggest YouTuber. I don't go to YouTube for all of these different channels for whatever. So I saw, and I don't know, it wasn't that interesting of a fight. So I guess there really was no impetus for me to check in and see what the press conference was about, to see what the weigh-in was about, blah, blah, blah. I don't really spend my time like that. But You know, nothing on ESPN. And that's another thing before people try to hit it with being quiet, with it being so quiet and there not being a lot of publicity. I don't even think, I think when you're an app, like if they would have went to some of these different networks and tried to buy some ad time, there's restrictions on that. Like you can really only advertise your app, but you can't advertise the actual fight that you would like to advertise. You can't actually say so and so is fighting so and so this Saturday at 7 o'clock. There's also this pay-per-view option or whatever. You can't, they won't let you do all of that. So maybe it makes no sense for them to even bother with that. So again, do they start advertising on whatever other apps you're using on your phone? Just Instagram, Facebook, you know, is that what happens? So other than that, man, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what the turnout is tonight down in Miami. You know, they're fighting outdoors, yada, 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 yada. The heavyweight fight, the youngsters that they have over there with the Spino and Pacheco. And then Keyshawn Davis, the debut of Team USA's Keyshawn Davis. Other than that, Mark Castro getting his second fight against John Moraga or Morega. That's about it. That's about it. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, looking ahead to next week, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about Thursday night's card on NBC Sports Network with Sergey Boachuk and Brandon Adams. Haven't heard a whole lot about that, but I'm pretty excited about. I like Ring City USA. I like what they're doing. I talked about it a few weeks ago that NBC Sports Network is going away by the end of 2021. So will these cards eventually start moving over to an app themselves? This is what I'm talking about. All the boxing looks like it's going to be headed to an app eventually. But super welterweight fight. Boachuk is 18-0. Brandon Adams 22-3. It'll be his second appearance on NBC Sports Network in Ring City USA. This fight was planned, I believe, it was either before the end of 2020. They were supposed to headline a card, and Adams ended up fighting the Duverson cat, Sonny Duverson, and knocked him out in a round or two. So he comes back against Boachuk. I think that's a damn good fight, man. And I am a fan of midweek boxing. This card is actually taking place down in Puerto Rico. I couldn't tell you another person on this card. Who knows what they'll do with Fernando Vargas Jr. is on there against Heriberto Salame. That might be on the Twitch app. Again, boxing moving over to these damn apps. I did download that Twitch app for this to check out Ring City USA over there. The viewing experience is about on par with DAZN. What can I say? I mean, it wasn't that hard to, it took a couple seconds to get a login. You could probably log in with Facebook or Google or some easy way to make it a little simple for you. It's a way to check out another 2 to 3 fights over there before they get to the main card on NBCSN. Other than that, these other names on here, I don't know none of them. The super lightweight fight has an undefeated fighter in Danielito Zorrilla against Ruslan Matiev. I'm not that familiar with neither one of them, but Zorrilla is 14-0 and Matiev is 13-1. So I would imagine, that's on the card, as well as probably this featherweight fight between Brian Chevalier, who's 14-1 against Carlos Zambrano, who's 26-1. So that's that. Other than that, though, like I said, man, I want to see what Boachuk is about. It'll be interesting if he can get past Adams because, super welterweight was red hot for a while, for a good 3.5, maybe even 4 years. It was one of my favorite divisions. But now, Jermell Charlo is kind of the last guy standing there They have a chance to put together this undisputed fight with new WBO champion Brian Castano. Whenever they get around to that, I don't have a favorite in that one just yet. And the winner of that, they need some new, some new blood in there. So Boacek is probably a little ahead of, they're pushing Sebastian Fundora a little bit. We have Charles Conwell in there, who's what, 12-0, 13-0, 14-0, maybe somewhere in there. This Boacek kid could be in play. The other cat that's on, can't think of his name, the Eastern Euro cat. He's in there, but it's they kind of gotta build up the field again. But obviously, I mean, Jermell Charlo would be so much more accomplished than everybody else in the division. So I guess Carlos Adamez is still in there in the mix, but we know that he lost the fight to Teixeira prior to Teixeira losing to Castano a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, that's Thursday night, man. Get some midweek action in. Go ahead, take a little effort to find the actual like channels that you want to follow, and then they do bug me with updates quite often or notifications. Well, I guess I followed their channel, but I feel like I get other notifications from that app that bother me a little bit. But they do have 2 cards planned to stream from Puerto Rico. I want to say, I don't think the next one is going to be, it might be in March. It could be in April. I get back to that as more comes up on that. The other thing next week, some more of my favorite issues with boxing. With this Claressa Shields undisputed super welterweight fight against Canada's Marie-Eve Decaire. Again, who the hell knows about it? This is why I see people happy about Triller getting this fight and talking about fighters can do this and anybody can do whatever they want to do, but nobody even works any of this shit. I did see, I don't even know if that's a big enough outlet. I was gonna say I saw Claressa Shields was gonna be on something, but that was some online outlet that's small. But what is she doing to? I mean, it's whether it's her, whether it's Salida Promotions, the card will be on Fight TV, supposedly $29.99. Who the hell is fighting on? That's what really burns my ass. I've been I guess talking to myself about this, but how do you come out here and talk all this stuff about what you should get paid and what you're doing and by 25 blah blah blah? Like, we don't know Marie-Eve Decaire. I saw something earlier. I think it might have been on Instagram. It might have been another ad on Twitter, but it was like 2 of the top superstars. I think it says superstars. Maybe it was stars. 2 of the top stars at super welterweight square off for undisputed, and Claressa Shields and Marie-Eve Decaire. How the hell is Marie-Eve Decaire a star? I couldn't point her out in a small group of women. She would be no different from any of the other 4 women whose pictures who were beside her. Who the hell is she? And why should I care about her? Now, the smart thing that they did to fight is only $29.99 if you want to get it. But again, how does Fight TV, besides Twitter and besides Instagram, how do they get the word out that they have a card next Friday night? I don't know how that's happening. So it just, I guess what I'm getting at is it's killing me. Like, how do you put these events together and expect them to be any success when nobody's working them? Nobody's out doing anything to promote it. We don't even know. And another thing with Claressa Shields' card, like, and with all of these cards that you want us to pay to watch, who the hell is fighting on the card? Right now on BoxRec, there's just Danielle. Oh, they did put out a small number of tickets. So there will be a small crowd of like 200 people, I think. Tickets start at 150 and max out at 300. Like, you're super interested in that. But Danielle Perkins is on there against Monica Harrison. We don't know either one of them. Logan Holler against Shamel Baldwin is another fight that they have showing right now. And then Jamie Mitchell and Noemi Basquez. Basquez is like 12, 15, and 3. I was going to go on and give him my money just because. I didn't go to a fight locally last night, so I got a couple extra dollars, to throw around. I was going to buy this regardless just to be nosy in a lot of ways. But I like the fight to be successful. I heard Jermaine Franklin was like being considered to be included on the card. Raquel Miller was supposed to be involved with the card. I don't see her name on here yet. So again, like boxing is just not all that important. Sorry, but Claressa Shields is really not all that important for people to do all the legwork to stay interested in that you have a fight coming up. We already know that going the pay-per-view route, I mean, there's really no guarantee for her in that purse-wise. It's about what you go out here and drum up, the interest that you go out here and drum up, and the people that you actually convince to click and buy this shit. So again, man, these are just things to watch. These are just trends to watch with Triller, with Fight TV. I mean, in Fight TV or Fight.tv or whatever it is. I mean, that's a name that I have been seeing for the last several years. I think I've only watched one event on there previously. They got Holly Holm, who will be involved on the commentary and the analysis. She'll be in Flint, Friday night. I guess Ray Flores is calling it. A handful of other people that were, for the for the on-air people. So that's Friday night, $29.99 on Fight.tv for those interested in that. The other thing, Friday night also, heavyweight Tony Yoka. I thought he hurt his hand and would have been out of the ring a little longer than this, but Tony Yoka fights in France Friday night against Joel Tambui Deco. He's 17-2-1. Tony Yoka is 9-0. That's for the vacant EBU European Union heavyweight title. I don't know anybody else on that card. I don't have any information on how that one can be viewed. Like I said, I'm sure maybe in England, I mean, not England, but in Europe or something, maybe there is some publicity on that one. I can't really speak on that one. But again, man, I'm just dumbfounded that people would go out here and put together all of this effort to organize these cards, to commit the money to them, to hold the cards and to pay the fighters. And then nobody, the majority of the people don't even know about any of this stuff. And if I had somewhere to go right now, if I wasn't stuck in my damn house for the 11th consecutive month or whatever it is, I wouldn't even be wasting my time sitting here talking about this. But I ain't got nowhere to go right now. I think that was all I really was going to come on here and rap about. I was just a little taken aback seeing Regis Prograis heading over to this, to this Triller rap. Just got me wondering what's going on with the PBC. Could we see more movement? Is it everybody for themselves at this point in boxing until they, until there's a major shift with the pandemic situation and people being allowed back into arenas, and then maybe some of these promoters can get back to their to business as usual, and they can start planning on some of the fights, some of the better fights that we would want to see. But other than that, some of these guys gotta get in where they can fit in. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna need to see a lot more on that card for me to go and mess with Triller. That's that does nothing for me. Regis Prograis against Ivan Redcash, and then Jake Paul against Ben Askren. Uh, you know, I don't even flinch. I don't blink twice to consider that. So we'll see what else gets added to the schedule. But it's just another event. Just another event. That's one of the that is also just looking ahead to whenever they do get ready to announce whatever they're going to do with Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. I know several years ago they I think HBO years and years ago they had like a series where it was like hip hop friendly. Maybe my Ed Lover. Ed Lover was on the call, or like they had like a small desk for him somewhere or something, and they would go to him in between rounds or something. Rock Nation with Throne Boxing or whatever. I believe they had a performance in the ring from Fabulous. And then from what I understand with the Tyson and Jones card, it was some rappers on there. Again, that's kind of akin to the Super Bowl halftime acts. Like that doesn't add any value to the show for me. And matter of fact, Fab singing Lituation, walking around in the ring looks stupid to me. That really wasn't a selling point for that. But I'm not sitting here trying to tell these guys not to. I mean, that's gonna work for some people. And it's clear at this point that that at 89 years old, that Bob Arum is really not. He's not coming into the boardroom or the meeting room at Top Rank. He's not coming in there with new ideas of how to make any of this stuff happen. His thing is just put on affordable fights, things that are budget friendly for him, and be fiscally responsible, and kind of by whatever means, try to keep the labor costs in check. Whether or not that involves sending emails to the ops and and demanding that they don't do. One thing about that part of it though, with the email that came out, I think Coppinger also broke that. One thing that was interesting is that Top Rank was like, well, we'll move our super lightweight undisputed fight with Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor out of courtesy, professional courtesy. We'll move off of that date for Matchroom, DAZN, and Canelo. We'll move off of that date. Don't get involved with our business with our youngin on Teofimo Lopez. I wouldn't say. I mean, who am I to sit here? We don't know what proper, what's been acceptable, in business practices behind the scenes. We don't know how this stuff has always played out. In this particular situation where it's an embarrassment for Top Rank, we got guys doing a little extra this week, really trying to be real journalists. And now we're finding out more details because of this rare purse bid situation that we've all been following the last 2.5 weeks or whatever. But I mean, that was somewhat fair in my opinion. I saw some cat on Twitter talking about how like Top Rank and their dealings in this situation like they were doing something criminal. They were colluding with another promoter to cheat a rival fighter of the opportunity, whatever, you know. I don't know if I go that far, man. I mean, I don't know if I go all there, all the way there. That it was criminal, but it was, you know. I'm imagining in that business, it's a lot of favor for a favor, quid pro quo. I also dig the fact that Eddie Hearn being the little I don't know, the little snot nose or the little brat, the pain in the ass, Mr. Enthusiasm. I also like that he was like, this is a free market. You can say what you want to say. I know we got other business going on between us with AJ and Fury, but I'm out here hustling. I'm doing my thing. I like that Hearn stood his ground. I don't know if I would go out here because this cat that made the tweet is a staunch PBC guy. PBC can do no wrong, and they must be protected at all costs. Is how this cat rolls. And he was saying, you know, he put the tweet out there to say that if this would have been Al Heyman doing something with purses, mainstream boxing media would have been screaming foul and calling for an investigation. And I don't know if people really care about it like that on that level, to be honest with you. Like I said, I think all in all, it ended up being a pretty transparent process. And you know, it's a bit of an embarrassment for you know, for Top Rank, but and from what I'm understanding on some of it, like ESPN really isn't all that. Well, that was from that was part of the discussion about ESPN maybe considering moving on from boxing altogether. So who knows what that, you know, whether there was any truth to that whatsoever. But anyway, man, like I said, the fight started 7 p.m. on that DAZN app. I'm getting ready to go check out this Joseph Parker and Junior Fa fight. See if DAZN is finally acting right for me. I did see the Hemi Ahio fight, heavyweight fight against what was his name? Julius Long. Dude had on like some regular basketball sneakers. He was a 7'1" giant, just throwing punches from his elbow, you know, from his just at the swivel on his elbow was all he did for punches. But he got stretched out in the 8th round, was it? Either the 8th or the end of the 7th. The rest of that card, I fast forwarded through. I didn't even watch none of it. But not sure what that did for Ahio to sit there and just have target practice, you know, on a guy 7'1" who just sat and languished on the ropes for the last 4 or 5 rounds that I watched. But you know, the crowd loved it. Looking at some of what I saw online, shout out to Mr. Boxing Today. Just looking at his commentary on the fight between Parker and Fa. It looked like maybe 8 or 9 of Mr. Boxing Today's fans thought that Parker won it. One or two guys thought that Fa won it. A lot of people thought it was a snoozer. Parker, you know, I'm not all that excited about him, but you know, I'm gonna check out the fight and see. I did think it was a bit interesting that you know, there was no knockdown. I don't think there was any knockdown of any kind. Fa, good-hearted guy. I like Fa. But his last win against Devin Vargas, I think was his last fight. Undersized heavyweight out of Cleveland. actually works at the GM plant up there. I wasn't overly impressed with Faz fight against him. He got hurt in that fight. I think he knocked Vargas down once or twice. Did that go to the cards? I can't remember. But the way that Zhili Zhang, who fights on the card tonight, the way that Zhili Zhang put Devin Vargas away in 2 or 3 rounds, kind of had me questioning, what was the upside in Junior 5. I know styles make fights. They made Vargas was coming back from a leg injury, I believe. And then I think the man worked on the line at GM earlier in the week against it's hard as hell to be to literally be a weekend warrior, to work Monday through Wednesday or Sunday through Wednesday. I think he's like a supervisor or something. It's got to be hard to worry about if you got enough bumpers in inventory to complete cars coming off the line and putting together people's worrying about who's on vacation this week and blah yada yada yada, and then on Thursday, worry about boxing and some 6'7" China dude, with decent power. So that's a hell of a schedule to juggle. But so who knows? But anyway, that's it, man. I'm rambling. Let me get on off here and check this fight out. I'll see Joseph Parker and Junior 5 for myself. I saw already some kind of something out there from Chisora about facing Parker. I'll know more about it later. Enjoy what you can enjoy tonight. If you're not watching the fights, enjoy a free night away from in front of the TV. Bite Down Boxing. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no to start, but you had to start to be great.